Hello everyone, and welcome back to another GIS lecture video. And in this lecture video, I want to talk about the last type of fuzzy membership function, which are going to be the MS functions, which stand for mean, standard deviation. Now, in a lot of ways, these are going to look similar to large and small, and in fact, they're called MsLarge and MsSmall. But a couple of key differences, and the way they're parameterized is actually quite different. So let's go ahead and give ourselves a little bit of room here. And let's talk about this idea of MsLarge and MsSmall. So the idea here with MS standing for, again, mean and standard deviation, is that instead of having values start at a midpoint and decrease away and increase away depending on whether you're doing small or large, what the MsSmall and MsLarge do is they set a value based on the mean to serve as an inflection point. And what that inflection point does is everything. Let's start with MsLarge first. Right, so MsLarge is going to be focusing on large values. So again, 0, 1. What MsLarge is going to do is it's going to take the mean of the data set. Everything lower than the mean is going to be 0. It's going to take the standard deviation of the data set, and it's going to have 1. So this is mean plus 1 standard deviation. This is going to be 0.5 fuzzy value. And so what it's going to do is it's going to make an S-curve similar to what we saw before, except half of that S-curve has been compressed down to 0. Right, so what we have is we have 3 regions. We have this region where low raw values are 0. Right, we have this inflection point. Where we transition away from a flat fuzzy membership to a curve. And then we have this mean plus 1 standard deviation equals 0.5 fuzzy membership that controls the rate at which this curve curves. Right? Because again, this has to be 0.5 fuzzy membership, and we have this curving approach to the fuzzy values. Okay? So the key difference here between MsLarge and MsSmall is that whichever one you're looking at, right, you're going to have an inflection point where whatever is on the left-hand side, in the case of MsLarge, is going to be 0. And in the case of MsSmall, right, keep the same mean, keep the same inflection. What happens here is instead we have all of the values below the mean are 0, and then we do our curve like that. Actually, that would be more like that. Right, and again, so what we have, so again, with MsSmall, we're emphasizing the values less than the mean. With MsLarge, we're emphasizing values higher than the mean. The key thing I want to point out here are the two parameters that we have control over. We have two parameters. Right, the first is what's called a mean multiplier. And the mean multiplier is literally a value between 0 and essentially infinity, but you probably aren't going to want to go more than 1 or 2 times, where you multiply the mean to set the new inflection point. Right? So if we set a mean multiplier of 2, what would happen is we would take whatever this mean was, multiply it by 2, and that would be our new inflection point. If we go less than 1, say a mean value of 1/2, right, we would go back towards the minimum, and that would be our new inflection point. Okay? So we can use this mean multiplier to move this inflection point around. The second parameter we have control over is this idea of the standard deviation, which I'm going to abbreviate as SD multiplier. And the SD multiplier, it's the same concept as the mean multiplier, except what we're doing is we're changing this value here. So instead of being the mean plus 1 standard deviation, right, we could have it be the mean plus 2 standard deviations, which would push this point out farther, which would mean that the curve would be more gradual, because again, right, this has to be this mean plus whatever our standard deviation multiplier is. This has to be a fuzzy value of 0.5. So if we move it closer, right, this becomes more sharp. If we move it farther away, right, this curve becomes more gradual. Okay? So hopefully that made sense. The difference between MsLarge and MsSmall and regular large and small is what happens at this point of inflection. Right? With MsLarge and MsSmall, we can press these either to 0 for MsLarge or to 1 for MsSmall. Whereas with small and large, we had that gradient across the entire raw data values. So hopefully that makes sense. And as always, if you have any questions, please reach out. Thank you.